Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. This video is about romantic justice. You already know I'm right because of the exact reason I'm being persecuted. Before I start, I want to point out that the LGBT community has never presented a logical argument in regards to romantic justice. At least not a known one. Okay. As a fact. So therefore romantic justice does not exist within the boundaries of LGBT philosophy, activities, and thinking. Now, with that being said, no offense to the LGBT community, this is something that needs to be said, especially because many of you are harassing me and you're changing my voice, trying to make it so I sound gay, so I have to make that distinction. I'm not somebody who's talking, who's criticizing white supremacy while being an LGBT person. I'm somebody who is criticizing white supremacy, Jewish supremacy, LGBT supremacy, ethnocentrism in general, what have you, while being a heterosexual person. And he's also against my religion to be an LGBT person. And my religion is universal, pinpointing moral precision. And it's important for the LGBT community to understand why this is not an insult. I am mad at some of you. To some degree, all of you perhaps, we'll say, for the purpose of this video. But it is not an insult. It is simply a fact. For example, when it comes to pornography, it is a universal, moral, and mathematical absolute that being a porn star, to keep it simple, with no higher cause, and I can't imagine them having a higher cause, mind you, just because death is preferred to that, is immoral, and it is inferior to not being a porn star. Being a player is inferior to not being a player. Having reckless rock and roll sex or reckless thug sex is inferior to not doing those things. Leveraging privilege in corporations and whatever, in the military, police, or intelligence community, the government, or whatever, okay, is inferior to not leveraging that, to just being fair and just. So when we look in the dictionary, the Urban Dictionary, and they probably covered it up by now, and I've made videos where I posted that definition. It said being gay means, again, no offense to anybody, means being stupid and pointless. Now, why would they say that? Some gay gentlemen are very professional, very friendly, very generous. So why would they say that it means being stupid and pointless? They're not referring to the part of the gay person that is treating people fairly. They're referring to the thinking pattern of the brain, or the thinking patterns, or the grouping of thinking patterns of the brain when someone's gay. They are scatterbrained, right? Look at a gay parade. Of all the ways to represent gay activity at a gay parade, they're childish and they're scatterbrained. And they're doing things that to the average decent person seem to be clearly stupid and pointless. All these bright colors, silly behavior, goofy behavior, it seems stupid and pointless. And again, no offense to the LGBT community, but we have to make these distinctions. The ideal person is not going to be scatterbrained for no reason at all, or embracing scatterbrain. They're not going to be giddy and silly when life is very serious and 9 million people starve to death every year in the world. The ideal person is not going to play stupid about the difference between having sex in a way that can cause people, to bring in children into the world, and having sex in a way that seems disgusting to the average and decent person, we'll say, to keep it simple. They're not going to play stupid about these key facts. They're not going to play stupid about how you have to wonder if one can actually consent to homosexual sex. They're not going to play stupid about the fact that in the movie Training Day, to prove that somebody was mentally ill, they brought up disgusting activity which is associated with LGBT activity, and the LGBT community was quiet. I'm going to have to go there briefly here. Brace yourself. I'm going to say something semi-disgusting to make my point. It's an important point. The person in Training Day was talking about a story where somebody proved his insanity before a judge, or feigned it, by doing something that is similar to tossing someone's salad in sex. Very disgusting act. Just think about, instead of oral from the front, it's oral on the backside. Okay? Now, why in the movie, which was made by the Hollywood community, I'd imagine, when there's a lot of LGBT people, why was it okay for them to put that in the movie? They didn't say, hey, that's wrong. That's insulting the gay community. Because it was already universally understood that if you do disgusting fucking shit, instead of doing something that's honorable and logical, that there's something wrong with you. You see, the LGBT community is not arguing that it's not crazy to be an LGBT person. If you really look at what they're saying precisely, what they're saying when you read between the lines, they're not saying that. They're saying that they want you to accept that they're crazy. And this video is not about whether or not you should bash them or it should be illegal. That's not about that. I don't think you should bash them. In a secular society where you're given certain freedoms, okay, perhaps it shouldn't be illegal. That's not what this video is about. It's about understanding why, when you don't make these distinctions, people fucking suffer. Because there's a similar mistake that's being made when it comes to romantic injustice. Why is rape by deception the dominant dating culture in America and in every country in the world? For the same reason, you're too damn fragile. You're too damn privileged. You're too much in denial to admit. The reasons why the authors of the Bible said that LGBT activity is sinful and that they believe that people should be stoned to death for it. There's a reason they were saying that. Whether they're right or wrong, there was a reason they were saying that. There's a reason why it's sick to suck fucking toes in sex. Whether you're straight or gay, you should be, ew, that's sick. If I saw a woman, again, I'm going to have to go there to some degree. If I saw a woman giving a guy head in the fucking parking lot, even though I'm straight, I'd say that's fucking sick. Ew. Now, if the ew doesn't come with a higher cause and a certain logic, then it is inferior to sexual activity that does. And when you play stupid about that, it costs people fucking dearly, because moral, mental, and romantic and spiritual are different aspects of the same thing. There's a reason why people said it wasn't Adam and Steve, it was Adam and Eve. And the LGBT community has no counter-argument. How many times can they have no counter-argument to a very potent point before you realize that they're fucking wrong? And that the white community, the Republicans who try to make it so that minorities are disproportionately gay, that they're wrong for trying to use that tactic. There's a thin line between raping somebody in the you-know-what and trying to get people to rape someone in the you-know-what so you can feign supremacy. That is some bitch-ass shit. That is some catwalk pussy shit. You know, some model going, oh, look at me. Oh, I sabotaged him. Now look at me. That's some bitch fucking shit. That's not being a man. That sure as hell is not how you prove racial supremacy. And the fact of the matter is, whites and Jews are not superior. They are not. And you all know that. I don't have to say anything else. You all know that damn well. Okay. So now let's get into this. Point number 1. Should Lex Luthor and the Marquis de Sade be able to brainwash Juliet before she meets Romeo and cause her to have sex with who they want her to have sex with? The answer must be no, right? Whether you're part of a gay agenda and Lex Luthor's gay, whether you're part of an agenda to bash gay people and Lex Luthor's straight, the answer, and and you're on his side and whatever, the answer is no. Point number 2. Moral and romantic absolutes exist, especially in regards to romantic justice. Okay? And point number 1 proves that. Absolutely under no circumstances should the ideal and perfected Juliet be brainwashed by Lex Luthor or anyone else. Certainly not in a way that causes her to choose to have sex in a way that those scoundrels who would sink to that level want her to, instead of finding her soulmate which for the purpose of this explanation is the perfected Romeo. Under no circumstances. Therefore, that is a romantic absolute that has to do with romantic justice. Now, already you should know that your society is dead wrong before I even continue, and that I'm right. Why aren't they pointing this out? Why am I? Why not everyone? Why isn't it everywhere? Why isn't it commonly said and understood? Why don't people behave in a way that reflects that they live and understand this, and that it resonates with them and it's part of their spirit and flow and way and path? Point number 3. The righteous king or leader would not allow romantic injustice in his land. If you're reading a story in the Bible and they said King David or someone else was allowing romantic injustice, well, why the fuck's he allowing it? The hell's wrong with him? There's a reason why they stoned to death witches and LGBT people. There's a reason why they stoned to death people who were flesh-based supremacists. If you choose the flesh over God, you're dead. Ball and the world is a ball, and the stomach is a ball, and the pregnant woman is a ball, and the full stomach is a ball. And you're dick and balls. When you choose the flesh over God, in a correct kingdom of God in the Bible, that you're fucking dead. Why is it that important? Think about it. Why do they stone to death a witch? A witch is dealing deception and lies. And it changes the reproductive direction of society to the point where all their deities are first and foremost fertility deities, deities of reproduction. They said, hey, stop fucking with romantic justice, and which is messing with God, and they killed them. They said, don't tolerate a witch, stone her to death. Don't tolerate the LGBTs, what they were saying. Again, no offense to the LGBT community. I'm laying down the facts here. I'm really trying hard to be compassionate and to help you see my point here. I'm not trying to insult you. But there's a reason why they said that, whether you agree with it or not. There's a reason why they didn't want people to put their greed above doing God's will. Because God is God, and because it takes away from that society. It causes a certain decay, a certain moral, mental, spiritual, and romantic decay. It's bad for that person. It's bad for the female. It's bad in the bigger picture. It's bad for the planet. It's on and on and on and on. The righteous king would not allow romantic injustice in his land because it is pure fucking evil, and it makes him a fucking bitch to allow that, and it makes the society and the people there bitches to allow that. They're not on a cross screaming they better stop or persecute to the extreme. Why the fuck not? Are they bitches? You want your daughter to be raped, kids to be raped? Well, why not? Why aren't you stopping them? You got to understand why not. Because it's wrong and because it makes you a bitch. Because your spirit is bitch if you allow that. Point number 4. The spirit of white, Jewish, and or LGBT supremacy does not allow for romantic justice. Why? Going back to what I said earlier. It's like Baal. Baal worship is that. It's that flesh worship. It's a deity of merchants and sailors and, craftsmen with no higher cause and all kinds of scum with no higher cause. Storms and rape by deception. Okay, because they're thinking about their flesh, their carnal desires, their selfishness. So when you say, my flesh, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, when you say that before God, you're fucking up. Vir in virtue means man. Not bitch in the phrase bitch supremacist, which is what it takes to put your flesh before God. You have to put your flesh before God. Defaults with you're a bitch. You people need to understand that. Because what is the essence of being a man? God. God in a male is the essence of being a man. In order to have God in you, you have to put God first. Point number 5. The system of white supremacy that we have here in America is basically speaking in a sense. Now, what is it saying? It is saying that they want you to let them trick attractive females into bed especially the ones that you might have dated. It is also saying to give up your soulmate while they act bad and pretend that their spirit is greater than God's spirit and yours. Now, maybe it is greater than yours, but it's not greater than God's spirit, and it's not greater than God's spirit. It's not greater than your spirit if God's spirit was in your spirit. If God's spirit was the dominant characteristic and the prevailing tendency in your spirit. That's what it's saying. And white supremacy is I'm part white. I could have rode the white supremacy wave. Hey, my dad's a doctor, my mom's a white doctor. I could have rode that wave to lots of money and lots of hot chicks and da-da-da. I did not do that. Because it's toxic and vile and evil. Point number 6. Any female that doesn't understand that a short righteous life with a righteous man is greater. So again, any female that does not understand that a short righteous life with a righteous man is greater and better for her and mankind in the bigger picture is insane. And her opinion should not matter. If you constantly argue for the spirit that bears the fruit of having people date, trying to survive more than trying to live for principle, if the fruit it bears reflects a lack of understanding that a short righteous life is greater than a long conformist life, that spirit is garbage. It's not just garbage, but the person who insists on it is insane. You're telling me you didn't grow up enough to understand why that's incorrect? Let's look at it in terms of family, since you people often try to put family first before God. Let's put it in terms of family, and we'll work our way toward God here from there. If you saw a female who chose to let her newborn baby, or let's say 5-year-old child rather, get killed rather than die for that child, wouldn't you be like, what a selfish bitch? That bitch is so selfish, she's insane, right? Like, why doesn't she get why that's wrong? You're supposed to be that child's mother. Why weren't you willing to die for that child? Now, what if she said, well, I had to make sure that I could preserve that child's clothing too, and it's hair clippings. So you put that child's clothing and your life and the hair clippings above that child's life. So you have to prioritize. The spirit of putting what is right to put first is greater than the lives of that woman and her child and her whole family and all the lives of everyone on this planet put together. If the planet won't continue in a way that is righteous, then it should be destroyed. Render unto God that which is His, which is everything. Nothing should live in rebellion against God. Okay, so point number 7. I have proven 1,000,000 times over that it is logical and mathematical to know that moral absolutes exist. So should the righteous man or the wicked man get the attractive woman the righteous man wants and needs, really? He needs her because he needs to at least pull on her, okay, to fulfill all righteousness. And if he doesn't get her, that society is complete garbage, right? If everything's fair and just and right, with what he wants is fair and just and right. And when he passes over, God is going to make it right with that righteous man. So he needs her either here or there. But if you don't give her to him here, it causes an extreme decay because God is love. You can't serve love and money. You can't serve love in the flesh. The flesh is hostile toward God. It is your flesh that's telling her no. It's your desire for money and women and social status. Your desire to win some kind of petty, secular, profane competition. It's your desire to be a control freak that is telling you no. It is her desire to be evil that is telling her to date an evil person. It is the white supremacist, the Jewish supremacist, the LGBT, the ethnocentric's desire to be evil that has them lying about what righteousness is. There are moral absolutes, and then there's complete fucking bullshit that is spoken by a bitch-ass motherfucker who's trying to superimpose his bitch-ass self on the righteous man, causing a righteous man like me to start cussing and calling them names. And then maybe that fucking worm or his allies is going to say something like, well, if you're such a holy man, why cuss? If you people don't deserve to be killed and thrown into hell immediately, why are you inspiring the most righteous and holy person that could ever possibly live in the flesh to cuss, to call you names, you brood of vipers, you rapacious wolves, you children given to corruption, you who are inclined to evil, you who murdered the prophets? What's worse, being called a son of a bitch or the son of a fucking bitch-ass motherfucker who murdered the prophets?